Hey everyone! Today we're diving into a fascinating tradition from South Sulawesi, Indonesia. It's a really incredible story, packed with ancient curses, sacred duties, and, believe it or not, a very modern conflict. So, let's get right into it. Okay, so when you hear the word kalimba, you probably think of that little thumb piano, right? The one that's all over the internet playing these beautiful melodies from anime like Naruto. But what's wild is that in another part of the world, a word that sounds almost identical, kalomba, means something completely different. It's not a song, it's a mandatory, sacred rite of passage, a deep, powerful purification ritual for the Kajang people. So, here's our game plan for today. We're gonna unravel this whole story. First, we'll get our terms straight. Then we'll dive into the Kajang philosophy. You have to understand how they see the world. After that, we'll get to the heart of it, the dramatic origin myth, the ancestors' curse. Then we'll look at the purification ritual itself. And finally, we'll tackle the major conflict it's facing in our modern world. Right, so we've separated the musical instrument from the sacred rite. Let's now step into the world of the Kajang, the indigenous community in South Sulawesi that is the keeper of this incredible Kalomba tradition. But to really get why this ritual is so important, we first have to understand the people themselves. Their entire culture, their whole worldview, is built on one simple but incredibly powerful guiding principle. And that principle is called kamase masedia. It's this beautiful foundational idea that's all about simplicity, humility, and equality. It's basically a life mandate that says you should focus on your essential needs, not on piling up a bunch of material wealth. And this isn't just a nice thought. For the Kajang, it is everything. And you can see how they put this philosophy into action every single day, especially the inner Kajang, who live deep inside a protected forest area. They're guided by an unwritten law, and they do things like wear all black to show that everyone is equal. They reject modern stuff like electricity or even shoes. It's a serious, profound commitment to living simply. And remember this, because this is going to be key to understanding the conflict we talk about later. This connection to nature is absolutely central to their beliefs. I mean, just listen to this Kajang adage. For them, protecting the forest isn't just some environmentalist slogan. It's a spiritual command. They believe the health of their culture is literally tied to the health of the earth. So that code of simplicity, it's also a sacred duty to protect the planet. Okay, so now that we get their worldview, this deep respect for simplicity in nature, we can finally dig into the origin of the Kalomba ritual. And this is where the story gets really dramatic. It's a tale born from a bitter family feud and a powerful ancestor's curse. This is the why behind the whole thing. So, the legend kicks off with a man named Karaeng Padulu Dang Soreng. He was a respected guy, a man of high standing. He gets married, has a son named Mula, and everything seems great. Until he decides to rigidly enforce a personal vow he had made. And this is where it all goes so wrong. His vow, for whatever reason, meant he forbade his own in-laws, the baby's grandparents, from holding their own grandson. I mean, this was a huge act of disrespect to the elders. It just shattered the basic bonds of family and set the stage for a total tragedy. Overwhelmed with grief and sadness, the grandmother utters a curse. And the effect is immediate. The child, Mula, is suddenly struck down by a terrible skin disease. But in this story, the disease is so much more than just a physical problem. It's a symbol. It's a spiritual sickness, a corruption of the family line that's literally showing up on the skin. The broken family ties became a festering wound. So let's just break that down for a second. You have the protagonist, whose stubbornness creates a conflict. That conflict leads to a curse born from pure grief, which then shows up as a physical disease. And the one and only solution, the only way to heal this deep ancestral wound, is the Kalomba tradition. All right, so we've established the why, this huge ancestral curse that just has to be lifted. So now let's get into the what and the how. What exactly is this ritual, and how does it work? So the main purpose of Kalomba is something called melepaskan sumpah, which basically means to release the curse. And here's the thing, this isn't optional. It's not a suggestion. For the Kajang, this is a mandatory, necessary act to free the entire family line from that ancient debt and bring everything back into spiritual balance. But this is where our story takes a turn, because today, the ritual has taken on a second function. On one hand, yes, it's absolutely still about that sacred spiritual purification. But on the other hand, it has also become a way for families, especially the outer Kajang, who live and work in the modern economy, to publicly show off their social status and their wealth. And this leads us right to the heart of the problem. What happens when a culture that's built entirely on the idea of simplicity has a core ritual that's turned into a stage for social competition and showing off? This is the big question, isn't it? It's a massive paradox. How on earth did a sacred tradition founded on humility and simplicity morph into this huge, expensive, flashy event for climbing the social ladder? It's a question the Kajang community is wrestling with right now. The engine that's driving this whole transformation is a social system called pasolo. Now, it's rooted in the idea of giving back, of reciprocity, but it's become this intense competition. The rule is you always have to give back more than you got. It's turned into a way for people to convert their modern cash into traditional prestige, creating this relentless cycle of one-upmanship. And the scale here is just staggering. We're talking about contributions that can cost tens of millions of rupiah. What was once a sacred duty has now become a source of massive financial debt and psychological stress for so many families. So why do it? Why put yourself through all that stress? Well, this quote pretty much says it all. The motivation is to get praise and increase their social status. The performance of being wealthy and generous has, for many, overshadowed the ritual's original spiritual purpose. So it all comes down to this really stark contrast. On one side, you have the soul of their culture, kamasa-masa, simplicity, humility, equality. And on the other side, you have the reality of Kalomba today, a costly, competitive party where families literally go into debt just for social praise. The tradition is now fighting its own moral code. And that leaves us with this final, really challenging question to think about. When a sacred tradition starts to look more like a social transaction, what's being lost? And maybe more complicated, is anything actually being gained? It's a question so many cultures are facing as they try to keep their soul in a world that's changing faster than ever. Thanks for joining this explainer.